Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video today. We are looking at the sound design improvements in Farming Simulator 22, Part 1. FarmCon is over this year, FarmCon 21. So I guess this is just little clips of what we are expecting to come in the new game.
I'm the sound designer here at Giant Software. What am I currently working on? Well, first of all, we're working on the new engine vehicle sounds using our custom engine synthesis tool. So what does the new vehicle audio system actually mean? Well, first of all, the system is completely new for Farming Simulator 22. The audio department has collaborated with the programming team here at Giants to create a bespoke software tool that allows us to apply dynamic audio processing to vehicle engine recordings. This results in vehicle sounds that transform in real time to the in-game environment. So whether you're driving on a flat surface, or you're driving uphill, or you're carrying a trailer that weighs a ton, you're going to hear many changes in the vehicle engine sound to reflect these various situations. The first addition to the new engine sounds is that the vehicle engine recordings and the vehicle exhaust recordings are now processed independently. This means that there's a much more realistic bass response as the RPM level increases. The vehicles now have a much more accurate sonic representation of weight and size. The main new feature of the engine audio system is the implementation of dynamic load processing, which simulates the sound of an engine that has various resistances and loads applied to it. The first step in creating a realistic engine sound was to analyze the sounds of tractors that we have personally recorded. We compared the sound of the exhaust in two different states, offload and onload. Where offload is when the vehicle is stationary and the engine has no major resistance, and onload where the engine has a large amount of resistance, such as whilst pulling a cultivator to cultivate a field. By analysing these two exhaust recordings, we could then isolate the difference in frequency content, or in simple terms, we could take the exact frequencies that make a normal engine sound like an engine under load. Once we had these specific frequencies, we sent the values to our programmer who created an EQ profile within our engine tool. This EQ profile is essentially just an audio process that changes the frequency spectrum of a sound. So, by applying the EQ profile to a normal exhaust recording, we can simulate an exhaust under a large load. But to make the engine load sound more dynamic, within the tool we have defined how much of the EQ profile, or how little, that can be used, depending on the load of the vehicle within game. At higher loads, whilst going up a steep hill for example, we use the maximum EQ profile, whereas with no vehicle load, no EQ is applied. The load points in between these min and max values are tuned to ensure that the engine sound has sensitivity towards varying loads. During the analysis of tractor engines, we also noticed other sonic changes that can occur when load is applied, one of which is volume oscillation. Especially when operating at higher RPMs and under a high load, the volume of an exhaust quickly moves up and down, giving it a spluttering effect that sounds really cool. This is also simulated within the new audio tool via a low frequency oscillator that is synced to the RPM of the engine. Finally, we have added some distortion that is directly linked to the load parameters. This adds some nice sounding aggression to the vehicle. Hopefully you can see how the vehicles in Farming Simulator 22 will have a lot of character and life in their sound design. Let's take a listen to some examples in-game. Driving on a flat surface, we can hear the initial load of the engine because it has to use a lot of power to propel the vehicle forward. However, at maximum velocity and with the increased forward momentum, the engine has less resistance, so you hear very little load sound and much more of the transmission sound. As we drive over uneven terrain, we can hear the tone of the engine constantly shift as it adapts to the various changes in load. When using a vehicle in a high load situation, the audio processing will have a much more dramatic effect on the engine sound. The application of maximum load EQ, bass enhancement and distortion all contribute to a more strained and aggressive engine tone. Furthermore, we also have some other sound improvements related to the vehicles in Farming Simulator 22. We have implemented a number of details related specifically to the indoor vehicle perspective, making this perspective much more immersive. Windscreen wiper sounds have been implemented into the new system with accurate spatial information. So, if you are using the indoor vehicle perspective and the vehicle has wipers on the front, side and back of the cabin, you will actually hear the sounds coming from those exact locations.
Oh my god.
For all vehicles that have manual transmission, we have also added gear shift sounds.
Dude.
For vintage vehicles.
I just want to listen to that again. Dude, you can hear it. Dude.
For vintage vehicles, we have also added custom filtering and volume adjustments for the audio within the cabin to simulate old cabin technology. Compared with modern vehicles that are featured in the game, the sound within the cabin of a vintage vehicle is less filtered and brighter. To summarize, we've developed a completely new audio engine tool which gives the vehicles a real sense of personality and dynamism. We have a new animation system whereby we can accurately synchronize sounds with the unique animations of the attachments. Finally, we've added some indoor vehicle perspective details such as windscreen wiper, seat suspension and gear change sounds. When we consider that each of these individual elements will be in a constant state of change, all whilst working together in unison, we can say with confidence that the vehicle sound design for Farming Simulator 22 is the most ambitious and realistic in the series so far.
Wow, what a video. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. I was really cool listening to the windshield wipers and also the gear shifting. Thank you guys for watching. See you in part 2. Goodbye.